Jinnah was known for his strong leadership, political acumen, and uncompromising principles. He was a skilled orator and a charismatic leader who was able to mobilize the masses behind his cause. He was also a man of great integrity and honesty, who was committed to the ideals of democracy, equality, and justice. Jinnah was a man of great dignity and personal discipline. He was known for his impeccable dress sense and his strict adherence to a healthy lifestyle. He was also a man of great vision, who understood the importance of education and worked tirelessly to promote it in Pakistan. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, 1876–1948, was a political leader and founder of Pakistan. He was born in Karachi, which was then a part of British India. Jinnah was trained as a barrister in England and returned to India to become a successful lawyer. In the 1920s, Jinnah became involved in Indian politics and became a prominent leader of the Muslim League. He was a strong advocate for the rights of Muslims in India and worked tirelessly for the creation of a separate Muslim state. Jinnah's efforts eventually led to the formation of Pakistan in 1947, which he became the first Governor-General of. Jinnah was a skilled orator and a pragmatic politician. He is known for his famous two-nation theory, which argued that Hindus and Muslims were two separate nations and could not live together under a single government. This theory formed the basis of his demand for a separate Muslim state, which eventually became Pakistan. Jinnah was also known for his emphasis on secularism and his opposition to religious extremism. He believed that religion was a personal matter and should not interfere with politics. Jinnah's vision for Pakistan was that it would be a modern, democratic, and progressive state. Jinnah passed away shortly after the creation of Pakistan in 1948, but his legacy continues to shape the country's politics and society to this day. He is often referred to as the father of the nation in Pakistan and is widely revered by its people. Two-nation theory. The two-nation theory is a political concept that originated in the Indian subcontinent during the early 20th century. The theory proposed that Hindus and Muslims in India were two distinct nations with different cultures, religions, and interests, and therefore, they could not coexist as a single unified nation. The idea of the two-nation theory gained prominence in the 1930s and was propagated by the All India Muslim League, a political party that represented the interests of Muslims in British India. The theory was based on the belief that Hindus and Muslims had different historical experiences, cultural values, and political aspirations, and therefore, they could not live together in a single country. According to the proponents of the two-nation theory, the only way to protect the rights and interests of the Muslim community in India was to create a separate homeland for them. This idea eventually led to the partition of India in 1947, when the British government granted independence to India and Pakistan, a new country carved out of Muslim-majority areas in the northwestern and eastern regions of India. Jinnah's work for Hindu-Muslim unity. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the founder of Pakistan, initially started his political career as a supporter of Hindu-Muslim unity and worked towards bringing the two communities together. He believed that Hindu-Muslim unity was essential for the progress and prosperity of India. Jinnah was a member of the Indian National Congress and was actively involved in the freedom struggle against British colonial rule. He initially supported the Congress's policies of non-violent resistance and participated in the Congress-led civil disobedience movement. However, Jinnah's efforts towards Hindu-Muslim unity were met with limited success, as he found it difficult to reconcile the interests and demands of the two communities. He became increasingly disillusioned with the Congress and its leadership, which he felt was dominated by Hindus and did not adequately represent the interests of Muslims. In the 1920s, Jinnah started to focus more on the interests of the Muslim community and became a prominent leader of the All India Muslim League. He felt that Muslims needed to have their own separate political entity to safeguard their interests and to have a voice in the governance of the country. Despite his focus on Muslim interests, Jinnah continued to work towards Hindu-Muslim unity and advocated for a united India where Muslims and Hindus could live together in harmony. He participated in several negotiations with the Congress to try and find a solution that would satisfy both communities. However, these efforts were largely unsuccessful, and in 1940, Jinnah called for the creation of a separate Muslim state, which eventually led to the formation of Pakistan in 1947. In conclusion, while Jinnah initially worked towards Hindu-Muslim unity. He eventually came to the conclusion that the two communities had irreconcilable differences and needed separate political entities to safeguard their interests. Despite this, Jinnah continued to advocate for a united India until the end of his life. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who later became the founding father of Pakistan, left the Indian National Congress Party in 1920 due to various reasons. One of the main reasons for his departure was his disagreement with Mahatma Gandhi's policy of non-cooperation with the British government, which he believed was not in the best interest of the Indian Muslim community. Jinnah also felt that the Congress Party, which was primarily dominated by Hindu leaders, was not adequately representing the interests of Muslims. He believed that the Muslim community needed separate representation and rights to protect their interests, which the Congress Party was not willing to grant. Furthermore, Jinnah was also unhappy with the Congress Party's decision to adopt the Nehru Report, which proposed a unitary system of government for India, in which the provinces would have limited autonomy. Jinnah believed that this would lead to the marginalization of Muslims in the political process. As a result of these disagreements, Jinnah left the Congress Party and began to advocate for separate representation and rights for Muslims. He eventually became the leader of the All India Muslim League and played a significant role in the creation of Pakistan as a separate Muslim-majority country. There were several reasons that motivated Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the leader of the All India Muslim League, to demand a separate state for Muslims in India, which eventually became Pakistan. Some of the main reasons are: 1. Religious differences. Jinnah believed that Muslims and Hindus were two separate nations with distinct religious, cultural, and social identities. He argued that Muslims could not live as equal citizens in a Hindu-dominated India, and that they needed a separate state to safeguard their political, economic, and social rights. 2. Political representation. Jinnah and other Muslim leaders felt that Muslims were underrepresented in the Indian National Congress, which was dominated by Hindu leaders. They believed that the Congress was not taking into account the interests and concerns of the Muslim community, and that Muslims needed a separate political platform to voice their demands. 3. Economic disparities. Jinnah also argued that Muslims were economically disadvantaged compared to the Hindu community. He believed that a separate state would enable Muslims to control their own economic resources and development, and promote their economic growth and prosperity. 4. Cultural differences. Jinnah believed that Muslim culture and way of life were distinct from Hindu culture, and that Muslims needed a separate state to preserve their cultural identity and heritage. 5. Historical grievances. Some Muslim leaders felt that Muslims had suffered historical injustices and discrimination under British rule, and that the creation of a separate Muslim state would be a way to redress these grievances and restore their dignity and honor.